How's it going, Guardians? Shifty here, and today I'm back with another Legend Lost Sector guide. Now, in these guides, I tried to make them as accessible but also as easy as possible for people who are looking to tackle these lost sectors to get the new exotics. In the past, I've tried recommending weapons that were easily obtainable, and I'm still going to do that. However, I want to try to strike a balance with making the lost sectors easy as well. So in today's video, I'm going to be covering the K1 Logistics Legend Lost Sector. I will be doing this on a Warlock. However, the strategy remains largely the same across all three classes. That's even more true since I'm using Void 3.0, and there's a lot of similarities between the three classes because they all have all of the grenades now, and they all have the same fragments. So before I get into my loadout here, if you end up enjoying today's video, make sure to hit that like button, and if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Alright, for the details on today's Lost Sector, we do have K1 Logistics with Void Burn, and the enemy shields are Arc and Solar. The modifier is Hot Knife, which gives Shanks a solar shield. Now that the Lost Sector details are out of the way, let's go over my Void 3.0 setup. So, for my grenade, I am using the Vortex Grenade. I know this is a general guide, but just in case you're wondering, I am using the Chaos Accelerant aspect, as well as the Child of the Old Gods aspect. In terms of fragments, I have Echo of Remnants, I have Echo of Expulsion, and I have Echo of Undermining. Alright, let's move on to my weapons now. So in my kinetic slot, I do have Arbalest, and this is just an absolutely powerful weapon, especially in endgame activities involving champions. Speaking of champions, I'm going to be using this against barrier champions. I'm also going to be using it to take out elemental shields. Then in my energy slot, I have the new seasonal bow called Under Your Skin, and this is a void bow, so it gets that 50% damage boost. Then in my heavy slot, I have the Royal Entry rocket launcher, which also does void damage, so it's going to get that 50% boost as well. Finally, moving on to my armor mods, I'll just quickly show you each piece of armor, and if you need to see anything in more detail, just pause the video. And one final thing, if you want to see my artifact setup, here that is. Anyway, that is it for my setup in today's video. Now, let's get right into the run. Alright, so right off the bat, we obviously want to take out these trip mines here. I'm going to use my bow to take out some of these enemies right at the beginning. There's going to be a few invisible marauders. Just keep an eye out for those. I'm going to try to pick off any enemies in the distance right off the bat. Most of the time they end up hiding, but I can always scoot off to the left here and take out some of these enemies to the right. I'm going to use Arbalest to take out that Captain's Shield. As you can see, I have all void weapons which are going to benefit from that void burn, and I'm using Arbalest to take out shields here. I'm going to toss a grenade over there, see what it does. I do have the double arc and solar damage resistance on, so I wasn't too afraid of those snipers right off the bat. Alright, look for any enemies up there. There's one of them. There are going to be solar shielded Shanks, as I mentioned at the beginning here. So for the solar shielded Shanks, I'm going to Arbalest their shield off, then use my bow to conserve Arbalest ammo. And that worked out pretty well. Next up, I'm going to try to get this Overload Champion. So I'm going to use my grenade to stun it, shoot one rocket, and then hopefully a second one. And that took out the Overload Champion. So I do have the Void mod for stunning Overload Champions on my artifact right now. Break the shield on that servitor. Might as well toss a grenade down there. And the barrier servitor is down, and all of the other enemies in the area are cleared out. I'm trying to conserve as many rockets as I can. Obviously, I've picked up a few since I've used them. I'm going to bow some of the initial enemies in this room. We do have another Overload Champion. I do have to wait for my grenade here, so if you have a low grenade cooldown, this might not work so well. But I'm going to grenade it. That should stun it. Rock it once. And I'm going to rock it again just for good measure. Don't want to kill myself with a rocket. Now I'm going to move forward. And we do have a couple of wretches. Actually, a few wretches. I believe there's 3 here. And I'm going to push the doorway, but not push through it. And be ready for some of the enemies that spawn, including this barrier champion, which, since it spawned over there, I can take out right away. It's always good to get the champions taken care of right away. It's going to allow you to deal with some of these enemies up front without them being shielded. If you can't, that's fine. Just try to pick off enemies that end up spawning in the distance like that. And we're going to have some shanks that spawn right around the boss. Again, I'm going to go ahead and break the shield with Arbalist. If you don't have any Arbalist ammo left, like I don't currently have, then you can go ahead and use your bow. Since I am using a void bow, it does do a significant amount of damage to their shields because it gets that void damage boost. So I am going to go ahead and use 1 rocket on this one, I think. Should be enough to break its shield. And it almost took it out, in fact. I'm actually going to push off to the right here, because this one nightmare drag was hiding behind the pole there. There we go. The shield hasn't quite gone down on the boss yet, so I do have to take out a few more enemies. And there it is. So I'm going to try to get a grenade for the weaken effect. I'm going to kind of curve my super around. Didn't quite curve as I'd hoped. Instead, I'm just going to keep rocketing near it. I did use my rift here on my warlock, so if you're on a titan or a hunter, you might want to use invisibility, or you might want to use your barricade. And the boss is down, so we can go ahead and grab this chest right away. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can always continue to take out the enemies in the area first, and then grab the chest. So the same strategy can pretty much be used on any class outside of the very end there. If you are on a titan or a hunter, you'll have to use a different super. Hunters, of course, will have a good super to use against the boss. Titans, you might have to use something else like a bubble and then shoot at the boss with your rockets. Now, I chose the weapons that I did because void weapons get that void damage boost, and Arbalist can deal with all of the elemental shields that are affected by match game. This isn't the only loadout that works, however. You could find whatever one that works for you, but this is just my suggestion if you do have it available. Anyway, I just want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.